Welcome back. Let's start today's video with something that might surprise you. Romance publishing is often presented as one of the fastest ways to make money with books. You'll hear things like, just hire a ghostwriter, publish quickly, scale fast. And on the surface, it sounds simple. You don't have to write, you just manage the process. But there's a side of this model that almost nobody talks about. And if you don't understand it going in, it can cost you time, money, and momentum. Now, I want to be clear. This is not about saying ghostwriting is bad. There are people who make it work, but there are trade-offs. And most beginners walk into this without understanding those trade-offs. That's what we're going to look at today. Let's start with the most obvious issue, cost. If you're hiring a ghostwriter for romance, you're paying up front. And depending on the quality, that can range anywhere from a few $100s to several $1,000s per book. That means before you make a single sale, you've already invested. Now compare that to simpler publishing models where your upfront costs can be minimal. The difference matters, especially if you're trying to build something carefully and responsibly. Here's the next issue. Quality is not guaranteed. Even if you find a good writer, consistency can become a problem. One book might be very strong. The next might feel completely different. Different tone, different pacing, different voice. And in romance publishing, readers expect consistency. If they like a book, they want the next one to feel similar. That becomes difficult when multiple writers are involved. This is one thing most people don't think about. When you rely on ghostwriters, you don't fully control the production. You are dependent upon their schedule, their availability, their reliability. If they disappear, your production stops. If they delay, your timeline shifts. You are no longer in full control of your publishing process, and that creates risk. Let's talk about something practical. Profit. If you're paying for each book, your margins shrink. And that means to make meaningful income, you need volume. More books, more output, more coordination. And that turns what looked like a simple model into something that feels more like managing a small operation. A lot of people assume ghostwriting saves time, but in reality, it simply shifts your time. Instead of writing, you're managing writers, reviewing drafts, requesting revisions, coordinating timelines. You're not removing effort. You're just changing the type of effort. And for many people, that's not what they signed up for. So here's the big issue. People are drawn to this model because they think, I don't have to do the work. But the work doesn't disappear, it just moves. And sometimes it becomes more complicated. Here's the truth many people ignore. If you don't control the process, you don't control the outcome. And in any type of publishing, control matters because control gives you flexibility, consistency, and stability. Without it, you're always reacting instead of building. Now compare that to simpler publishing models where you can control the creation, you can control the pace, and you can control the output. You can create one book, then another, without depending on outside variables. That's a very different experience. And for many people, especially those looking for something manageable, that difference is everything. If your goal is to build something steady, low stress, and controllable, then you must look at the whole picture. Not just what sounds easy at the beginning, but what remains manageable over time. This is why starting simple matters. When you control the process, you can build gradually. You can learn as you go and you can expand without taking on unnecessary risk. If you're looking for a way to get into publishing without large upfront costs, complicated management, or relying on other people, follow a structured approach where you create and control your own books and build from there. That's what I teach. And if you're ready, I'll walk you through how it works. Start today by downloading my free children's book series starter kit at chasethebutterfly.com. See you next week.